Hello students, welcome to today's video. I hope you all are doing extremely well. In today's video we will talk about the shift of budget line and its rotation. So without any delay, let's get into today's video. Shift of budget line mainly occurs due to changes in the factors on which budget line depends. So budget line basically depends on two factors. Okay, let me write. Uh, Shift of budget line occurs due to changes in its two factors in its two factors. Number one is the change in income. Well, if there is change in income, given the prices of the two goods, budget line will change accordingly. That means, given the prices of two goods, I have a price of good X, which is Px, and price of good Y, which is Py. So, given the prices of two goods, there is some price of good X and there is some price of good Y. So, given this price of good X, if the income of the consumer, which is denoted by M, if income of the consumer goes up, then I can buy more of good X as well as more of good Y. So, in such cases, given the prices of two goods, when income of the consumer rises, he can purchase more of the both goods, and as a result, the budget line will shift rightwards. And if income falls, given the prices of two goods, the consumer can buy less amount of now both the goods. As a result, the budget line will shift to the leftwards. So let us see that in a diagrammatic way. Okay, before that also I am here writing, given the prices of two goods, prices of two goods, if income of the consumer, I'm just writing here M in short, but you people please write it in full, income of the consumer. If income of the consumer changes, if income of the consumer changes, budget line will change accordingly. Accordingly. This implies that given the prices of two goods, if money income increases, I'm just writing it with an upward arrow. This means if money income increases, you people write in full, if money income increases, then the consumer can buy more of both the goods, more of both the goods, say X and Y. As a result, BL will shift parallel way to the right. To the right. And opposite is true. Opposite is true when BL shifts left. Here leftward shift also is a parallel shift. When leftward shift will occur, when money income fall, then consumer can buy less amount of both the goods, say X and Y. As a result, BL will shift parallel to the left. So now let us see with the help of a diagram. So first, let's draw two axes. In the vertical axis, we are measuring good X. In the vertical axis, we are measuring good X. Sorry, my mistake. We are measuring good Y. And in the horizontal axis, we are measuring good X. The initial budget line is given by give it a name, say BL. So in the vertical axis, good Y is measured, and in the horizontal axis, good X is measured. The initial budget line is given by BL. Now, if money income increases, given the prices of two goods, the consumer can buy more of both the item. As a result, BL will shift parallel to the right. So increase in M. So now let's give it a name, B star, L star. Now you see, when income increased, previously the consumer was buying OB amount of good Y. Now he is buying OB star amount of good Y. Similarly, previously, before the income has increased, the consumer was buying OL amount of good X. Now he is buying OL star amount of good X. So in both the cases, given the prices of two goods, he can buy more of both the goods due to his increase in income. And similar thing, not similar exactly, the opposite thing will happen when BL shifts leftward. As income has fallen, now given the price of two goods, he cannot buy more of both the goods. He will buy less amount of both the goods. Now you see, he is buying OL dash amount of good X. Previously he was buying OL amount of good X. Now he is buying OL dash. Similarly, previously he was buying OB amount of good Y. Now he is buying OB dash amount of good Y. And this leftward shift is occurred due to decrease in income, decrease in M, and that was increase in M. This was our original budget line, which is the BL. So you can take a screenshot of this and explain it accordingly, like how I have explained it right now. Anyways, let's move further. Okay. The second factor for which budget line shifts is due to the changes in prices of the goods. So these changes in prices of the goods are further categorized into two goods, because while drawing the budget line we take example of two goods, good X, good Y. So this change will happen, on the one hand it will happen due to for changes in price of good X, and on the other hand the change will happen due to the changes in price of good Y. So let us discuss first number A, change due to shift due to change in PX, price of good X. I'm just writing in shortcut PX, you can write it in full, price of good X. So given the income of the consumer and price of good Y, if PX changes, the BL will change accordingly. The BL will change accordingly. This implies that if PX rises or falls given the income and price of good Y, the consumer can buy less or more of, or buy less or more of good X. Hence budget line will shift to right or left. So now let us see this with the help of a diagram. Same way, just first make two axes. Well, before drawing this diagram, let me tell you that here within the bracket I have written or false or more or left. So let me tell you how to read this. That this implies that if PX rises, given the price of good Y and income of the consumer can buy less of good X. The opposite thing is for the this bracketed part. That means I have written it in shortcut way, that or you can also write it. This is not at all a mistake. This is just to economize the space and to save time. I have written it in together. That means when price of good X rises, the consumer can buy obviously less amount of good X or when price of X falls, the consumer will buy more of X, which is I have written in bracket. So I think you have understood. So anyways, let's stick to our main course. So anyways, first make two axes. So in the vertical axis we are measuring good Y, and in the horizontal axis we are measuring good X. The initial budget line is given by BL. Now if PX rises, given the income of the consumer and price of good Y, the consumer can buy less amount of good X, and there is no change in price of good Y. So he will buy less amount of good X. So the budget line will shift leftwards. So say suppose B L dash. So previously he was buying OL amount of good X, now he is buying OL dash amount of good X. So this is due to rise in PX. The budget line has shifted leftwards. And if price of good X falls, given the income of the consumer and price of good Y, the consumer can buy more of good X because price of good X has fallen. It is being reduced. So I can buy more of that particular commodity. So as a result, budget line will move outwards or rightwards to say suppose B L star. So this is due to fall in PX, price of good X, that budget line has shifted outwards. Now my dear students, just look carefully. This is not actually a perfect shift. If shift had been occurred, the budget line would have moved entirely to the right side or entirely to the left side. But yet it is not moving entirely. One point is fixed. So it is like a clock which is rotating. So this is not actually the shift. We can name it shift or rotation, or rotation, shift or rotates. So that's why I have kept these two places blank. So this is actually the rotation, shift or rotation basically. If it is entirely shift, so then it would have been shifted entirely to the rightwards or entirely to the leftwards, but it is rotation. So whenever a question of shift comes mentioning the prices of either of the good, it could mention the prices of good X or it could mention the price of good Y. So this implies the rotation. Anyways, the second shift or rotation that happens due to change in price of good Y. So given the income of the consumer and price of good X, if price of good Y changes, the BL will change accordingly. This implies that if PY, price of good Y, rises, given the income of the consumer and price of good X, the consumer can buy less amount of good Y, hence BL will shift or rotate to the right. Sorry, my mistake. Please do make a correction. within bracket it would be left, it would sorry within bracket it would be right, and outside the bracket it would be left. Here also you see when price of good X risen, the budget line shifted leftwards. Mistakenly I have written here rightwards, so that was my mistake, please pardon me. So when price of good X rises, budget line shifted leftwards, and when price of good X falls, budget line shifted rightwards. So it was actually rotation, no issues, just there was a mistake in this part, that in which way it is rotating, left or right. When rise happens, it will shift leftwards. When fall happens, it will shift rightwards. So again here you see, when price of good Y falls, given the prices of good X and income of the consumer can buy now more amount. Now I am targeting this bracketed part. The consumer can buy now more of good Y, and hence BL will shift or rotate to the right. And let me show this with the help of a diagram. So in the vertical axis we are measuring good Y, and in the horizontal axis we are measuring good X. The initial budget line is given by BL. When price of good Y rises, I can buy now less amount of good Y. So as a result, budget line has shifted, or basically rotated leftwards, or it has came downwards to B dash L. Now you see, previously he was buying OB amount of good Y, now he is buying O B dash amount of good Y, and this happened due to rise in price of good Y. And if there is fall in price of good Y, given the income of the consumer and prices of two goods, the budget line will shift, or basically it will rotate rightwards to B star, and now he is buying more of good Y, and this happened due to fall in price of good Y. So this is it, my dear students. I hope you have got this very well, and if there is still any confusion left, please do comment in the comment box below this video, and I will reach out to you as soon as possible. Till then, stay safe, stay strong. Thank you.